Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel, MOVESTONEXT. On this channel, you'll have the opportunity to learn a lot. It will ignite the passion within you to achieve something great. So, let's begin. You know, revenge doesn't always have to be loud. Sometimes it's as simple as turning a single valve and watching karma do the rest. My neighbor thought he could steal from me. Water, of all things. He didn't know that one small act of greed would cost him everything. His tenants, his income, even his home. And the best part? I never lifted a finger. If you've ever had someone take advantage of your kindness or felt that burning need for justice, smash that like button, subscribe and get ready. Because today's story isn't just about revenge, it's about calm, calculated karma served ice cold. When I bought my new house, I thought I was finally getting a fresh start. I live in Asia, in the middle of the capital city, and I'd just managed to buy this old property from a family friend. They hadn't lived here for 3 years and needed quick cash, so I got it for a great deal. The place was a bit of a fixer-upper, but I didn't care. It was mine. No landlord, no noisy apartments. Just peace. Or so I thought. The first red flag showed up on the very first day. When I pulled into my driveway, there was a motorcycle already parked inside my garage. Just sitting there. Like someone owned the place before I even moved in. I didn't want to start drama on day one, so I just moved it out to the road and got to work installing a proper gate. That evening, an angry man showed up banging on my new gate like it owed him money. I didn't answer. I just watched quietly from the window as he kicked the gate once, cursed under his breath, and finally left after 15 minutes. He took the bike, but not before glaring at my house like it had personally offended him. That man, as I'd later learn, was my next-door neighbor. After that incident, I kept my distance. The neighborhood wasn't exactly friendly. Most people thought my house was still abandoned. Cars parked in front of my gate all the time. Random people leaned on my wall, and I even caught one guy trying to dump garbage in my yard. So yeah, I wasn't in love with the place yet. But it was mine, and I wasn't about to be scared off. Weeks passed, and I started to feel a bit more settled. I installed security lights, fixed up my garden and got used to the hum of the city. Then came the day everything changed. It was a quiet morning, the kind where you can hear the city just starting to wake up. I was in the shower when I noticed something odd. The water pressure dropped suddenly. Not a little, but noticeably. At the same time I heard a distant, rhythmic humming sound, a motor, a water pump. Now, that wouldn't be strange, except it was coming from my neighbor's house. He lived next door in a 3-story building, old, dull-colored, always low. Okayed, half-finished. He lived on the ground floor, but rented out the top 2 floors to tenants. That guy was known for being cheap. The kind who reused old screws and complained about electricity rates at community meetings. And he wasn't happy about me buying this property. Apparently, he'd been telling my previous owners, who were family friends, that the house shouldn't have been sold to an outsider. He even tried to convince them not to sell at all. So when I moved in, I already knew he had a grudge. But stealing water? That was a new low. At first, I brushed it off as coincidence. Maybe the pressure drop had nothing to do with him. But when his pump turned off, I tried my taps again, and suddenly the pressure was back to normal. That's when it clicked. He wasn't pumping his own water, he was pumping mine. You see, in my country, water pressure from the city supply isn't strong enough to reach rooftop tanks. Everyone uses small electric pumps to push the water up, and apparently this old man had somehow connected his pump to my water line. The more I thought about it, the more it made sense. The old owners had been gone for years, but the water bills never dropped. In fact, they went up. We'd all assumed it was leaks. But now, it was obvious. At some point, this greedy old man must have walked onto the abandoned property and hooked his plumbing to my supply, probably thinking, free water, why not? And now that I was living there again, he thought I'd never notice. I spent a few days debating what to do. Part of me wanted to confront him, stand at his door, look him in the eye and ask, "Why are you stealing from me?" But I knew his type, old, stubborn, self-righteous. He'd deny everything, twist my words, maybe even try to turn the neighbors against me. Legal action? Sure, possible. But for what? Water here costs maybe $5 a month. It wasn't about money. It was about principle. People like him, the key. ND who think they can take what's not theirs just because they've been around longer. They never learn until it costs them something real. So I decided to teach him quietly. The plan was simple, elegant even, no confrontation, no yelling, no threats, just silence. One night, around 10 p.m., I sat by my window with my dogs beside me. I waited until I heard that familiar hum, his pump kicking on again. That was my cue. I walked out to the main valve, the one that controlled water flow into my property, and turned it off. Just one twist of a metal lever. Then I waited. Now, here's how these water pumps work. They use a float valve inside the roof tank. When the water level drops, the valve opens, signaling the pump to start pushing water. Once the tank fills, the valve closes and the pump shuts off. But since I'd cut off his water supply at the source, his pump kept running, endlessly trying to pull water that wasn't there. Starving a pump of water is on. Of the worst things you can do to it. It overheats, the pressure builds, and the motor starts to strain. At first it was just an irritating whine echoing through the night. Then it turned into a deeper, grinding sound, metal on metal. I smiled to myself, turned off my porch light and went to bed. Around 3 a.m. I woke up to shouting, not angry shouting, panicked shouting. I stepped out onto my balcony and saw the tenants from his upper floors rushing around with flashlights. The entire building was dark. Apparently the constant power draw from his pump had blown multiple fuses and burned part of his wiring system. His whole building lost electricity and water at the same time. And in my country, that's not just an inconvenience. It's a legal nightmare. You see, tenant protection laws here are strict. Landlords are responsible for maintaining safe wiring and uninterrupted access to essential utilities, like water and power. Cutting those services, even unintentionally, can lead to fines and complaints, and that's exactly what happened. By morning, his tenants were furious. They had no water, no lights, and no patience. From my window I could hear every word of their argument. "Sir, we can't stay here like this. You said you'd fix it yesterday. If this isn't fixed, we're filing a complaint." And they did. 2 police complaints, actually. Within 48 hours, both tenants packed up and left. Each demanded their security deposits back, money the old man clearly didn't have. When the inspection team came, they found his house had outdated 90s-era wiring and zero compliance with new safety codes. He was fined $500, a huge amount for someone like him. Without tenants, he lost his only source of income, and since repairing the damage would cost even more, he couldn't afford to stay. By the end of the week, I watched him loading boxes into a small van. He was moving out to his daughter's place, I overheard. A day before he left, he came to my gate, calm, expressionless. He looked me in the eye and said quietly, "Did you turn off your water that night?" I didn't flinch. "Oh yeah," I said casually. "Had a leak in one of my pipes. Plumber came the next day to fix it." He just nodded. No anger, no accusation. Just that quiet, defeated look of a man who knew exactly what had happened, but couldn't prove it. He turned and walked away. I watched him go, feeling not proud but satisfied. I didn't need to scream or fight or call the police. I just let him drown in his own greed. The following week, I had a real plumber come in and inspect the entire water line. Sure enough, there were 2 hidden pipes that ran under the wall separating our properties. He removed them, sealed everything off, and confirmed what I already knew. That man had been stealing my water for years. Now, my pressure's perfect, my bills are normal, and my gate stays locked. Sometimes, revenge doesn't require confrontation or chaos. It just requires patience and timing. You know, people think karma is some mysterious force that acts on its own. But sometimes, karma needs a little nudge, a quiet hand turning a single valve in the dark. That old man learned that greed always costs more in the end. And I learned that peace feels a lot better when you've earned it. If this story gave you that sweet chill of justice, smash that like button and tell me in the comments, What's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen or delivered yourself? And of course, subscribe to MOVESTONEXT for more real stories of karma, power, and poetic payback, because sometimes silence is the loudest revenge of all.